Good morning.
Morning.
I'm United States Attorney Adam Gordon. Joining me are the lead prosecutors on this case, Joshua Meller and Matthew Sutton, along with FBI San Diego Acting Special Agent in Charge, Hutan Mashrefi, HSI San Diego Special Agent in Charge, Sean Gibson, and Executive Assistant United States Attorney Victor White. At the end of the statement, we will provide an opportunity for questions related to this case. Let me be direct. To the leaders of the Sinaloa Cartel, you are no longer the hunters. You are the hunted. You will be betrayed by your friends, you will be hounded by your enemies, and you will ultimately find yourself and your fates here in a courtroom in the Southern District of California. An indictment which our office unsealed today is the first in the nation to charge multiple alleged leaders of the Sinaloa Cartel with narco-terrorism and material support of terrorism charges in connection with trafficking massive amounts of fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin. The indictment was made possible by President Trump's Executive Order 14157, which designated the Sinaloa Cartel as a foreign terrorist organization, and the Secretary of State's subsequent designation of the same on February 20th, 2025. On April 11th, 2025, I was sworn in as the United States Attorney. That same day, I created a narco-terrorism unit within our new organized crime section. This decision reflects our office's commitment to the Department of Justice's Take Back America priorities in targeting the leadership of these foreign terrorist organizations. Focusing on this indictment, the notorious Pedro Nzuza Noriega and his son, Pedro Nzuza Coronel, are charged with terrorism and drug trafficking charges. They are described in court documents as leaders of one of the largest and most sophisticated fentanyl production networks in the world on behalf of the Beltran-Leyva faction of the Sinaloa Cartel. Since its inception, the Beltran-Leyva organization has been considered one of the most violent drug trafficking operations in Mexico, engaging in shootouts, murders, kidnapping, torture, and violent collection of drug debts to sustain its operation. Our lead defendant, Pedro Nzuza Noriega, is well known to law enforcement. His nickname is El de la Silla, which means the man in the chair, because he was partially paralyzed in a shooting by a rival cartel. Since the early 2000s, Nzuza Noriega has been one of the top distributors of cocaine and now fentanyl into the United States. To be more specific, over the past several years, father and son have trafficked tens of thousands of kilograms of fentanyl into the United States. For example, on December 3rd, 2024, Mexican law enforcement raided multiple locations in Sinaloa that are controlled and managed by the father and son and seized 1,500 kilograms. That's more than 1.65 tons of fentanyl, the largest known fentanyl seizure in the world. The current indictments reflect this U.S. Attorney's Office pursuit of the Sinaloa Cartel, as we now have indictments pending against all alleged leaders of the Beltran-Leyva faction, including Chapo Isidro, El Musico, and the previously described Nzuza Noriega, aka Satataria. These indictments join those our office has separately secured against another three leaders of the Sinaloa Cartel, El Chapito, Mayito Flaco, and El Chino. You may ask why we are bringing these narco-terrorism and material support charges now. It is the acknowledgement through Operation Take Back America that narco-terrorists operate as a cancer within a state. They metastasize violence, corruption, and fear, and if left unchecked, their growth would lead to the death of law and order. This indictment is what justice looks like when the full measure of the Department of Justice, along with our law enforcement partners, is brought to bear against the Sinaloa Cartel. If you act like a terrorist, you shouldn't be surprised if you are charged as one. I'd like to specifically thank our law enforcement partners, in particular Homeland Security Investigations and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, for their tireless efforts to bring these defendants to face justice here before American juries and jurists. To describe the indictment in detail, I'd ask that Assistant United States Attorney Joshua Miller please come up.
Thank you, Adam. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joshua Miller, one of the prosecutors assigned to this investigation. This indictment represents the culmination of over 3 years of investigation that spanned 2 continents and numerous countries. The success of this investigation was a result of the dedication and collaboration of the FBI, HSI, and our foreign counterparts located in Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Guatemala, and Mexico. Through this collaboration, agents collected evidence that revealed that Pedro Insunza Noriega is the leader of the notoriously violent Beltran-Leyva faction of the Sinaloa Cartel. As was mentioned, since the 2000s, Pedro Insunza Noriega has been one of the top producers of cocaine in the world. He also now works closely with his son to aggressively traffic fentanyl to the United States. They also have a very sophisticated money laundering operation that stretches from Colombia, Central America, Mexico, and throughout the United States, including here in San Diego, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Miami, and New York. Pedro Insunza Noriega and his son, Pedro Insunza Coronel, procure cocaine from Colombia, which then is transported by land, sea, and air to Central America, and then to Mexico, and eventually into the United States. The evidence also has revealed that Pedro Insunza Noriega and Pedro Insunza Coronel have trafficked tons and tons of fentanyl into the United States. As was previously mentioned, on December 3rd, 2024, several locations were raided by the Mexican Navy and seized over 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl. This is the largest fentanyl seizure in the world. The other charged defendants held key roles within the organization. Javier Alonso Vasquez Sanchez, also better known as Tito Vasquez, managed the fentanyl laboratories in Sinaloa and also the drug stash houses in Sinaloa. David Alejandro Heredia Velasquez and Oscar Rene Gonzalez Menendez oversaw the cocaine and money laundering operations in Central America. Daniel Eduardo Bajorquez coordinated the importation and the distribution of their narcotics into the United States and the laundering of the drug proceeds back to Mexico. And Elias Alberto Quiros Benavides is a significant money launderer for the Beltran-Leyva faction in Costa Rica. The indictment also alleges that Pedro Insunza Noriega and Pedro Insunza Coronel are active high-level members of the Sinaloa Cartel. As mentioned, that's a designated foreign terrorist organization. Both of these individuals know that the Sinaloa Cartel is a designated terrorist organization, but they continue to traffic massive amounts of narcotics, including fentanyl, cocaine, and other drugs, into the United States. They also provide money, support, personnel, and other resources to the cartel. This support and resources helps the Sinaloa Cartel further their operations and flourish and grow even stronger. But this indictment shines a light on their terrorist activity and is a major step in dismantling the Beltran-Leyva faction of the Sinaloa Cartel. Thank you. Turn it over to FBI SAC.
Good morning. Thank you, Adam and Josh. I'm the acting special agent in charge of the FBI San Diego field office. First, I wanted to thank everyone for joining us this morning. I would like to thank the United States Attorney Adam Gordon and HSI Special Agent in Charge Sean Gibson and their teams for their outstanding partnership and collaboration in these indictments. As the FBI Director has indicated, one of the FBI's top priorities is to destroy the ability of violent actors, gang members, and cartels to operate. We're proud to stand with our partners and announce material support to terrorism and narco-terrorism charges against two of BLO's leadership, Pedro Noriega and Pedro Cornel, Noriega's son. The BLO, operating out of Sinaloa, Mexico, is one of the major drug trafficking organizations in the world, who is responsible for trafficking large quantities of cocaine, fentanyl, and methamphetamine into the United States. Since at least 2008, Nzuza Noriega has been one of the three leaders of the BLO faction of the Sinaloa Cartel. Noriega's son, Cornel, is intended to succeed him as the BLO leader. In this case, both individuals have been tied to some of the largest ever drug seizures of fentanyl and cocaine destined for the United States. Today's indictments are a significant step in disrupting drug trafficking operations, violent acts carried out, and other activities by this foreign terrorist organization. These indictments would not be possible without our interagency partners, foreign and domestic. The threat we're facing will take all of us working together. With all our collective strengths, authorities, and expertise to stay ahead of the criminals and protect the community. Strong partnership both at home and abroad, highlighted here with the U.S. Attorney's Office and HSI, are the key to the FBI's mission in keeping our communities safe. Today's success reflects our commitment in working closely on multiple fronts and creating a response to destroy the ability of cartels to operate. Thank you.
Thank you, Hootan. As mentioned, my name is Sean Gibson. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for HSI here in San Diego. I want to start by thanking the United States Attorney's Office, the FBI, and our foreign and domestic partners who played a key role in bringing this case forward. The case is a shining example of what happens when agencies work together. When we share intelligence, collaborate operationally, and use our unique authorities, transnational crime suffers. As United States Attorney Gordon mentioned earlier, this is a milestone case. For the first time in history, the United States is bringing material support charge in connection with narcotics trafficking, specifically against individuals of the Sinaloa Cartel. This isn't just a legal breakthrough. It's a necessary evolution on how we confront transnational criminal organizations. The Sinaloa Cartel is not simply a drug trafficking group. They operate with the reach, discipline, and violence of a terrorist network, which fuels addiction, destabilizes our communities, and leaves a wake of destruction. These charges are directly in line with an executive order issued by this administration, recognizing that these organizations don't just threaten public health, they threaten our national security. With this new approach, we now have another powerful tool to help tear down the cartel's infrastructures. To those involved in trafficking fentanyl, methamphetamine, and other poisonous drugs, you're on notice. We will use every authority at our disposal, and we will pursue you not just as criminals, but as a threat to safety and security of the American public. To all the agents, analysts, attorneys, support staff, and foreign partners who put the time and work on this case, thank you. Your efforts reflect what the FBI, the United States Attorney's Office, and HSI are all about: protecting our communities, defending our homeland, and pushing the boundaries of what law enforcement can achieve. Thank you.
Buenos días, soy Víctor White, fiscal auxiliar ejecutivo. Como acaba de mencionar el fiscal federal Adam Gordon, del Distrito Sur de California, seremos directos. A los líderes del cartel de Sinaloa los perseguiremos hasta que, en última instancia, encuentren su destino y enfrenten a la justicia aquí, en una sala del tribunal en el Distrito Sur de California. La acusación formal que nuestra oficina acaba de revelar el día de hoy es la primera en la nación en que se imputa a varios acusados líderes del cartel de Sinaloa con los delitos de narcoterrorismo y apoyo sustancial al terrorismo en relación con el tráfico de cantidades masivas de fentanilo, cocaína, metanfetamina y heroína. La orden ejecutiva o decreto 14.157 que emitió el presidente Trump, en que se designa al cartel de Sinaloa como organización terrorista extranjera, FTO por sus siglas en inglés, y la misma designación por parte del secretario de Estado del 20 de febrero del 2025 hicieron posible que se presentara esta acusación formal. Hace un mes, el pasado 11 de abril, fue la toma de protesta de Adam Gordon como fiscal federal del Distrito Sur de California. Ese mismo día, creó la unidad de narcoterrorismo dentro de nuestra sección nueva de delincuencia organizada. Esa decisión refleja el compromiso de nuestra oficina con las prioridades del Departamento de Justicia en la iniciativa Recuperemos América, de procesar a los líderes de estas organizaciones terroristas extranjeras. Con enfoque en esta acusación formal, se les acusa a Pedro Insunza Noriega y a su hijo Pedro Insunza Coronel de terrorismo y narcotráfico. En los documentos del tribunal se les describe como líderes de una de las más grandes y sofisticadas redes de producción de fentanilo en el mundo por parte de la facción Beltrán Leiva del cartel de Sinaloa. Desde su creación se ha considerado a la organización Beltrán Leiva como una de las más violentas en México, con el uso de tiroteos, asesinatos, secuestros, torturas y cobrando deudas de drogas con violencia para mantener sus operaciones. El principal acusado, Pedro Insunza Noriega, conocido por los apodos El de la Silla y Sagitario, ha sido uno de los distribuidores principales de cocaína y ahora fentanilo que llega a los Estados Unidos. En los últimos años, padre e hijo han traficado decenas de miles de kilogramos de fentanilo que ingresa a los Estados Unidos. Como han mencionado, el 3 de diciembre del 2024, las fuerzas mexicanas de seguridad decomisaron una masiva cantidad de fentanilo, 1.500 kilogramos, en varias ubicaciones en Sinaloa que controlan padre e hijo. Esta acusación refleja cómo esta oficina está persiguiendo a los líderes del cartel de Sinaloa, porque tenemos acusaciones contra todos los acusados líderes de la facción Beltrán Leiva, incluyendo al Chapo Isidro, el músico y Sagitario. Y se añaden a las que tiene nuestra oficina contra otros 3 acusados líderes del cartel de Sinaloa: el Chapito, Mayito Flaco y el Chino. ¿Por qué imputamos estos delitos de narcoterrorismo y apoyo sustancial al terrorismo ahora? Porque los narcoterroristas operan como un cáncer dentro del Estado. Si no se controla, su crecimiento llevaría a acabar con la ley y el orden. Esta acusación formal es producto del trabajo conjunto del Departamento de Justicia con sus socios de las fuerzas del orden público y la aplicación de estos recursos enfocados en contra del cartel de Sinaloa. Queremos agradecer en particular a nuestros socios de HSI y de FBI y a los agentes de varias entidades que luchan día tras día contra los narcoterroristas. Los fiscales auxiliares que llevan este caso son Joshua Miller y Matthew Sutton, y como mencionó anteriormente el fiscal auxiliar Joshua Miller, estos 2 acusados han brindado apoyo sustancial al terrorismo, y esta acusación formal es un paso en desarticular esta organización. Gracias.
All right, questions? Sir?
Can you explain how the Beltran Labor Organization became a faction of the Sinaloa Cartel? Because my understanding is that they were enemies for a long time.
Great question. Josh, you want that one?
Thank you. The Sinaloa Cartel has had a long history, starting back when it was called the Federation. And with any organization, especially an organization as large as the Sinaloa Cartel, there's occasional violent struggles, violent disputes, and for the Federation, for the Sinaloa Cartel, 2008, 2009, with the death of Arturo, and is that there was a violent struggle between the different factions. They've always remained the same factions. You see that today between Los Chapitos and Los Mayos. There's a very violent dispute, and usually it's based on betrayal and other grievances. But they've always remained a part of the Sinaloa Cartel. And in fact, about 2019, 2020, they kind of reconstituted and split up territories and areas and put forth some ground rules for the different factions. And so you do have the four factions of the Sinaloa Cartel, even though back in 2008, 2009, there was a violent dispute based on some grievances from the Beltran Lagos.
I have a follow-up question, sorry. Now that we're talking about the Sinaloa Cartel, there's a video that apparently shows family members of Ovidio Guzman and Chapo Guzman turning themselves at the San Isidro Port of Entry. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we're going to focus on this case. Next question.
What kind of enhancement, if you allow me, brings these narco-terrorism charges? And what are these actions that you probably will take to combat these cartels? Will that include actions inside of Mexico?
And I just missed the first part of your question.
What kind of enhancements the charges
Enhancements.
bring? The enhancements, I'm sorry.
Sure. So, in terms of the Department of Justice, we are directed to charge the most serious readily provable offense. In this case, you'll see in the summary of charges, that's the narco-terrorism charge. And with regards to other parts, I would only be speculating that's for main justice or the administration. Questions?
You mentioned Pedro Noriega and his son are being held.
We're not getting into the details of that. Okay. No other questions? Appreciate your time. Thank you. Oh.
Sorry, one more.
Sure.
Is this the first narco-terrorism charge? What are the sentences like for that charge? For
Right.
the charges?
So these will be the first cases that are potentially sentenced, say, in the future, so I don't have an ability to say what the past sentences have been. All right, thank you all.